Good evening. How are you doing? Doing all right? Settling in well? Yes. Enjoying the food? Any problems? No. No. It's Saturday night here in Somerset, South Somerset. Sometimes I wonder why I'm in Somerset. I came down here about 7 years ago, mainly drawn to Glastonbury, but I haven't been to Glastonbury now since last June. Since I don't have the car, and the bus service is just shocking. Shocking it is. I need to write to the newspapers, the Times or something. Disgusted of Langport. I don't live in Langport, but it's just up the road a bit. Langport's the local town. It's not a bad little place. Got a nice church that I go to, which I've done videos from. I just watched a really good video by Black Squareable, who I mentioned in other videos, who's doing some really good stuff on great stuff on the language being used, and I'm really got a bit behind with everything that's been going on to do with Lucy Letby. I've heard through watching Black Squareable's video that Tony Chambers and Ian Harvey have been talking at Thirlwall. That would be very interesting. I've mentioned before that I understand it's a lady who goes by the name of Jabe, Jabe, or Jabes Aloud on Twitter. And I've put the link before where she has absolutely brilliantly put all the Thirlwall, not interviews, all the evidence given by the various people in an easy to read format. And I've just downloaded it all as a zip file. Start looking through it bit by bit. But it's fantastic and also there's also a PDF there with links to all the in date order. This is what Jabe's done. I'll put the link below again. This is all related to Thirlwall. So the PDF has got all these links to all the documents that have come up in Thirlwall so far in date order, like the RCPCH report, minutes of meetings, other documents, and it's fantastic. And you can download it all as a zip file. I think at the moment it's 37 odd files, about 8 megabytes. I don't know what that is in old money, 8 megabytes. I just bought one of these external hard drives recently. It was about 20 quid or something. I love it. I couldn't, because my computer's quite old and I keep thinking it's going to crash and I'm going to lose stuff, and then the sticks I put things on, it hasn't really got space for everything. But this hard drive, I've never used one before, but it was quite a dinky little thing, and it's half a terabyte, whatever that is when it's at home. But I think it's about, well, it says 500, not gigabytes, I get them mixed up. Gigabytes it must be, mustn't it? That's half a terabyte. Half a terabyte, please, Governor, and a packet of crisps. And yeah, it's great. And I just put everything on my computer. Not all the videos, because that would have been too much, but all the photographs. I've taken quite a few snaps with the phone over the last few years. And it all went on there in like amazing speed. I just love it. I love my little hard drive. Apparently it should be good for a few years, just in case the computer crashes and you lose stuff. I was just doing something today with a recording that was originally recorded on a reel-to-reel recorder that my mum and dad had, and it's a recording of I think it's at Christmas time, before I was born, with my mum and dad and siblings there, and I think my grandmother might be there, and my dearest friend very kindly, via a machine that got me a machine in which you could, I can't remember how this happened now. I really can't remember how it happened. But yeah, I ended up with like a tape, like the old-fashioned tapes you used to put in. The ones that you had to wind them up with a pencil in the middle, and when they're spooled out. But how that got from the reel to reel, I'm not sure. It must have been manually recorded onto this tape, and then my very best friend, she arranged to have this tape changed into a digital format via this machine that she got for me as a present, which is great. So I've got this tape, but I've got it in digital format. I couldn't listen to it all. I don't know if anyone out there has got very old recordings from family from a long, long time ago. It's quite powerful stuff, really. These recordings are probably made. I'm not there. In other words, I'm not born at that point in time. And I was born in 1965. 65. I was born in 1965. And I reckon this recording is it's early 60s. I think it's early 60s probably. Yeah, something like that. 61, 62 maybe, or 60. I'm not sure of the date, but the original reel-to-reel. God, I'd love to have that old reel-to-reel that we had. I don't know if it broke. I think people had those in those days, the old reel-to-reel things. I mean, that would be a wonderful thing to have, but it's all gone. It's all gone west, as they say. My dad used to say, it's all gone west. Or gone for a Burton. That's another old expression I don't think people use very much these days. Gone for a Burton. I think I looked that up once, and it's something to do with an explorer or something. Gone for a Burton. God. So yeah, got to get into the Thirlwall stuff eventually. I've found it very difficult lately, to be honest, to connect with anything that's going on about it. I hit the buffers, to be honest, in some mental, emotional, psychological way. I'd hit the buffers with it, and likewise hit the buffers with social media. I just found myself feeling very mentally overwhelmed. It might be related to other stuff going on, and I've sort of not been on Twitter for about a week and not on Facebook for a week. And I do feel calmer and more centered in a way. Sometimes something's got to give, isn't it? When things feel like they're too much, you've just got to rest your sort of psyche, as it were, or get some space back and things like this. What was I going to say? Yeah, I'm quite into tarot cards, so I'm really interested in tarot cards and learning more about them, and I kind of draw them, see what they're... I don't necessarily always ask a question, just see what's going on in a general sense, but the one I've been looking at lately is the Eight of Swords. The Eight of Swords. And there's this lady. I don't know if you can see the picture. It's probably coming up reverse. I've got to find out how to make things not come up reverse. I don't know, that's going to be another challenge. I wanted to mention there's a very kind gentleman. I won't say his actual name because people want anonymity, or everyone's got a right to anonymity if they choose different names, but it goes under the handle of Robin Hood 46. And I mentioned in the video last night about this thing about clipping other videos in order to potentially make a new video. You watch YouTube and they've got clips from other things, even the news and whatever, and they build it in and edit it in, and I thought it was a really complicated thing and I have to download. But he told me a way about these screen recorders, so thank you very much, Robin46. I'll email him a thanks as well. But I just had a look at one or two of those today, and I think I've got it. I was a bit frustrated because I'm impatient with these kind of computer things at first, and think, I'll never understand it. But then eventually I kind of get it once I calm down a bit. It's me nerves, living on me nerves. But so that's great, that screen recorder. It's quite interesting, this whole thing to do with YouTube and copyright. And I've heard of, I've been watching YouTube, like it's one of the main things I do. And people worried about getting copyright strikes and why you get them and what's the reason for it. And it's just trying to find out, to kind of be safe with things, not and not to want to step on anyone's toes or use people's material unfairly or things like that. But I've been reading about this thing called fair use. Perhaps many of you know about it already, but I thought it's quite interesting. And you've got to kind of, when you're using other people's clips and things like that, it's got to be transformative in some way. And I'm still a bit vague about it. So what I'm taking it to mean is that it could become part of something else in which you're adding commentary. Apparently it's different in different areas of the world, but in America in particular, it can be part of something that's involving research or teaching, commentary, or it could be parody or pastiche. Apparently other countries are not quite exactly the same as America in that regard. And I wanted to read this very short story by one of my favourite writers, Jean Rhys. That's Jean Rhys, Rhys spelt R-H-Y-S. Her most famous novel is Wide Sargasso Sea, but she also wrote quite a lot of other novels, a group of novels that she wrote in the 1920s, some of them set in Paris. And they're brilliant, and short stories as well. She was very known for short stories, a number of collections. And there's a very short story called I Used to Live Here Once. I Used to Live Here Once. And it's the final story in one of her collections. I can't remember the name of the collection now. I've got it noted somewhere. And it's literally about a page long. It's only about 300-400 words. And I'd love to read it out. The reason I'm talking about this is back to the copyright thing, and I kind of knew this, that with literary works, it's the lifetime of the writer plus 70 years. That seems to be the sort of standard thing at the moment. Lifetime of the writer plus 70 years. And so Jean Rhys died in the early 80s, I think it was. I've got the date again somewhere else, but it's not. So to be 70 years, you're looking at, for it to be what they call in the public domain. Sorry if people know this already, but I didn't know a lot of this stuff, or I knew little bits, but I didn't have it, comprehensively. I've still got a lot to learn about it. So, there's definite little things to tweak or to understand. But really, you're looking at someone who's passed away as a writer, 1954, you'd be safe, really. 1955, 54, depending on where we are next year. So you've obviously got Dylan Thomas is fine. W.B. Yeats is fine. Edward Thomas is fine, obviously. Keats and Shakespeare's definitely fine, 1616, I think he died, 1616. So yeah, that's definitely more than 70 years. So Shakespeare's in the public domain. And another little tweak on this, an interesting thing I thought, is to do with translations. So there's a poet, I did one of his poems recently on this channel, and his name is C.P. Cavafy, and he wrote in Greek, but he was living in Alexandria. But he's definitely out. His work is in the public domain, because he died, I think, in the 20s or 30s or something like that. I can't remember exactly, but well back. And I love his stuff. And I'd like to do some more of his stuff. But where you can fall foul is and I think it's very unlikely you'd get a copyright strike or people would even bother with it. And also, I'm trying to stick to the principle of it as well. I want to believe that people have a right to, if they've written something, but here in the case of translations. So if the translator did a translation of it into English from Greek in the 1970s even, then that translation has got its own separate copyright, even though the original material is in the public domain. and available without copyright, because 70 lifetime plus 70 years has gone by, but the translation hasn't. So that becomes its own piece of work that has its own separate kind of copyright with it. So that was interesting. But it's led me to a point where I'd like to try with C.P. Cavafy, for example, and I've looked up a short poem called Walls. Not the ice cream, but just walls, But I thought, well, I could have a go at a translation myself, because we've got Google Translate, and get what I think they call it a literal translation of the words. And then I think as people do translations of poems or stories or novels or plays, then, you've got sort of some kind of poetic or artistic license, as it were, to kind of not just reproduce a literal translation of it, but put it into certain idiomatic aspects of the English language, for example. So to try to feel what it means, rather than just literally translate every word, even though it can sound very awkward. Although I really like kind of awkwardnesses or apparent awkwardnesses in phrasing, it can be very arresting. So that's interesting as well. So this copyright stuff has got me thinking, well, even if it isn't another language and it's been translated by someone more recently, then we'll have a go at a translation, Not War and Peace, not going to do that, But this poem's quite short, so I might have a go at that. Oh yeah, I've drifted. No, I don't know what the subject was, but it's just really social media. Yeah, I've found it very difficult. Well, I just felt very overwhelmed with things, and to do with the case, that emotionally, that is absolutely painful. It's only today that I really looked at something, and I looked at Black Squareable's video just now, which I'll link below. And because I think she goes by the name of Black, she said, as a shortened form, because she takes her time, and it's very good to listen to what she's saying, and it's not pushed at you. It kind of pulls you in, and she's thinking on the hoof, and I like that in videos when people are. Yeah, of course, there's preparation and thought behind it before, but there's also this moment-to-moment reality, as you call it, things being discovered on the hoof, as it were, or sort of in medias res, I think the literary term is, in the midst of action. So I like that about Black Squareable's videos, and the way she analyses language is very, very interesting to me, and drifts into the area of statement analysis, which I've never studied or anything, but I like looking at people that do know about it. I like listening to them and trying to think, well, yeah, does that make sense? Does it not make sense to me personally? And it's fascinating, language, especially when you're looking at things like how reliable somebody is when they're speaking, what kind of red flags might come up, what things they might kind of give away in their language choices. I can't remember the guy that's really fantastic at this, the American guy. Is it not Peter? Is it Peter something? My memory's going, but there's a guy, I'll have to look for him. I'll put his channel below once I remember his name. Peter something. He's done loads of stuff, and in point of fact, on an older Twitter account I used to have before I deleted it, I used to follow him, and I don't think he followed me, but I contacted him. No, he must have done, because I contacted him via private message. So yeah, he did follow me at one point. The only reason I mention that is because I sent him a private message to say, can you... God, I can't think of his name at the moment. I'll look that up, and I'll put his channel below. He's got a brilliant YouTube channel, because he covers all kinds of cases and things like that. And I think you'll find him very interesting. He's like a statement analysis kind of master, really. I sent him a private message on Twitter and asked him, would he consider looking at, and this is last year, I suppose, August, September time, maybe slightly later. I can't exactly remember. But would he consider looking at what they ended up calling the Green Note, which is Lucy Letby's personal writings, really, which is to do with her therapy, and that's come out more strongly about what exactly the purpose of those notes were, and that they were part of a therapy, and they should never have seen the light of day, and certainly not been used against her in a court of law in that terribly unfair way, and utterly mischaracterized in a very cruel and hideous way as a confession, which they obviously were not. They were part of a kind of, whether it's CBT or whatever the form of therapy is, they kind of fitted into that mould, and they should have been private medical documents, as it were, that shouldn't have been allowed to be used in court at all. I don't know whether Benjamin Myers, as the defence, made a challenge to the use of those at all. I don't know. Maybe he did. Maybe he did, and it was refused. I said, we shouldn't use those because this is the genesis of them, that they're to do with medical treatment, essentially, in terms of counselling. And maybe the judge refused that. I'm not sure. God, I wish I could think of that guy's name, but I'll find him out. I'll definitely find, before I upload this, I'll put it below. Statement analysis. And so I sent him a message on Twitter, and he said, we're going to look into that. Or what he said very specifically was, he's got a kind of a group of British statement analysts looking at it like a team, the British team, I think he termed it as. But I never heard anything after that, and I was really hoping that he would do something there. Perhaps for some reason he didn't. I don't know why. But then I deleted that Twitter account, and then I got a new Twitter account, and I'm not on that at the moment. I'm sort of giving it quite a long rest, actually, but perhaps he will come into the picture at some point, because he's always worth listening to. The guy, I can't remember whose name is. No, but you'll see it below. I'll put statement analyst, and you'll see it below, and it will be his YouTube channel. I think you'll find it very interesting. Some of you may know him already. He worked with a guy whose videos I've watched for many years, called Richard D. Hall, who's been who's had difficulties lately. I won't go down that line too much, but there's been difficulties lately in terms of some of the videos he's produced. But and I think he's been very badly treated by the establishment, as it were. But I won't go down that line too much. Otherwise, that could be another video. Richard D. Hall, and he flew over to America, and he was looking into the case of. I'm always a bit unsure about calling things cases, but that's what it's sort of a general parlance, isn't it? The case of Madeleine McCann, and in particular, he went to this statement analyst guy, Peter Hyatt. Oh my God, Peter Hyatt. I'll put the link below. And he went over there, Richard D. Hall did, and he asked Peter Hyatt to do a statement analysis on various interviews and statements given by the parents. I'll leave it there because this video isn't about that situation. But anyway, so it was very interesting what he produced there, and that's the first time I saw him. And then I have looked at a lot of his videos since. Peter Hyatt. I hope he could get involved if that can be helpful for Lucy Letby and things moving forward with the CCRC. I've probably missed lots of things that have been going on Twitter, but I just I had to have a pause, really, for the old mental the mental well-being, as it were. But anyway, I'll leave it there. My computer's just gone off for no reason. Oh, I think in 25 minutes it goes off. This is a 25-minute video. Bloody hell. I can't do things very short. I should be able. I've got to work on that. And thank you again, Robin Hood, 46. I'll send you an email of thanks. But I'm really glad I found this. That he has told me about the screen. What do you call it? Screen recorder. And God, it's brilliant. Anyway, take care. Have a good weekend. Look after yourselves. It's December tomorrow. Unbelievable, isn't it? Not long till Christmas, really. How many sleeps till Christmas? 20, 24, 25, 24. Take it easy. God bless. Bye-bye.